Hey there, everybody. I'm Pete Burak. Welcome to Cathlist. Can you imagine being so influential that you could talk a pope into overturning his own decision to excommunicate a king? And that king would then express gratitude to you for timely intervention and general awesomeness? Well, Philip Neri did that with Pope Clement VIII and King Henry IV of France. Philip was a baller, and he is the topic of today's episode, so stick around. And if you're too old to understand what I mean by baller, it just means he was pretty great. Don't look it up. Most of Phil's adult life was spent helping the poor, sick, and needy. He got his start in the altruistic arts in 1548 when he co-founded the Confraternity of the Most Holy Trinity of Pilgrims and Convalescents in Rome, who dedicated themselves to help pilgrims with lodging, food, and access to the sites. Man, some of these old orders, I just love their names. Like, how long does it could possibly be? Like, why'd you add the convalescence thing? Yeah. Perhaps even more impactful than the CMHTPC's work with the pilgrims was their work with those recently released from hospitals, but were still too weak to work. You can imagine how daunting that would be in the 16th century with no safety net. So St. Philip's work with these people was literally life-saving. Philip gained the title Third Apostle of Rome after Saints Peter and Paul for his work with the poor and sick of Rome. I mean, the ill living in Rome, not sick of being in Rome, like your college roommate who raved about her junior year abroad, but you remember her Instagramming shots of Italian cappuccino and pizza and saying things like, "Oh my God, I'm so sick of Rome. Their coffee comes in these tiny cups and there's no Starbucks and their pizza is so weird with the little mushrooms that roll off as you pick it up." That happened to me in Rome. He's probably most well known for his informal gathering of people in the evenings in a hall, aka oratory. They would pray or celebrate Mass, followed by a lecture or discussion of a religious issue or question for consideration, and in a different church every night. This developed into an outward-focused mission to bring the gospel to the people of Rome. Hey, it's ID 916. That's what we do. Number 7, Philip's easygoing nature and infectious sense of humor were magnets for people, and one method of evangelization they used became known as the walks. In the mornings, they would go to the local malls and preach to the senior citizens walking laps there. Just kidding. The walks were mini pilgrimages from one church to another. They would sing hymns and often have a picnic along the way. These walks were intended to be a counterpoint to the wild carnival party processions. Believe it or not, it worked. The walks became quite popular, and they didn't even need to toss out cheap plastic beads. Philip was one of those outgoing guys who could strike up a conversation with just about anyone, and he used these opportunities to lead his new friends to consider Catholicism as a better way of life. He often discussed how having a cheerful attitude was far more Christian than being somber all the time, and I second that. On the eve of Pentecost in 1544, he had a vision of what appeared to be, goodness gracious, a great ball of fire appear before him. The fire entered his mouth, and Philip felt his heart expand. He was filled with an extreme sense of God's love. It was so intense that he screamed out loud, "Enough, enough, I can bear no more." After this mystical experience was over, Philip discovered a swelling in his chest over his heart, though he was no longer in pain. After his death, it was found that 2 of his ribs had been broken as a result. Amongst other things, St. Philip Neri is a patron saint of Rome, the U.S. Special Forces, laughter, humor, and joy. And that makes complete sense. I don't know about you, but when I think of U.S. Special Forces, I think of laughter and joy. That's all the time we have for now, folks. Thank you for watching this episode of Cathlist. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and check out some of our other videos. Now, I've got to go make sure I can't be sued for copyright infringement for unknowingly modeling ID 916 on the oratory. But now that I know all of this about St. Philip Neri, I think ID might have a new patron saint. Thoughts? Agree? Good. God bless. He wasn't actually a baller, okay? He's like, I'll make it rain, I make it rain. Have you ever seen him walking in the malls? It's amazing. Determination is pure. Do not get in their way.